Hey guys, this is Jason. I'm reviewing The Electric State, directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, and it stars Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt. It takes place in a futuristic version of the 90s where a teenager named Michelle, played by Bobby Brown, finds a robot that's supposed to link to her brother, who is supposedly still alive after a terrible accident that happened in her past. She runs into a smuggler, played by Pratt, and both of them and their robots have to work together to go and find her brother and bring him home. The Russo brothers haven't had the greatest track record with movies recently. Sure, they've made some great films like The Winter Soldier and every other Marvel film that they directed, which Winter Soldier is still my favorite film of theirs. But with other films outside of Marvel like Cherry and The Gray Man, those films have proven that they are not the greatest when they're not directing a Marvel film. And unfortunately, with this movie, it shows. Now, this isn't an awful movie. I didn't hate myself watching this film, but it's just another mediocre film that the Russos directed, and it's still baffling to me that they can't make a great film outside of the MCU, because when you look at The Winter Soldier, that film showed that not only was that a great movie, but shows that they're great behind the camera and giving us a great story and characters and great action sequences, and an emotional punch as well. Unfortunately, with their newer films, they don't have much of that. They just have very generic plots, uninteresting characters, weak humor, and are just not that enjoyable. Especially with the plot for this film, because it's really just a mishmash of other films we've already seen in the past. Because this movie takes place after a big war with the robots, and it's about a teenage girl that's trying to look for a lost member of her family, and it relates to other people using VR type of technology that makes them pay attention to that more than reality. And she works with Chris Pratt as a smuggler, which is completely different in his career. He is not known for playing that type of character at all. Now, this movie does try to have something going for it, like Millie Bobby Brown is trying to find her brother who she thought died in a car crash with her parents, but he somehow survived and is hiding somewhere in a secret base. And that's unfortunately all we get from Millie Bobby Brown's character and her brother. We really don't know much on why we're supposed to care. All we know is that he's her brother and he's very smart. That's it. And there's this cartoon that he used to watch on MTV, so it tries to go for that type of emotion, but this movie barely delves into who these two characters are and why we should care. Sure, Millie Bobby Brown does the best she can with her performance, and she is fine as a character, but all we know about the character herself is that she's a juvenile rebel that is trying to find her brother. That's it. There's nothing else interesting about her. She's just a rebel and she hates using the modern technology. That's all we get from her and nothing else. Chris Pratt plays a smuggler with his own robot that decides to help Millie Bobby Brown with her journey, and that's his character. He likes to collect 80s and 90s memorabilia in his hideout, and he likes to listen to old music from those times. That's really all he is. Besides that, he is just another Star-Lord type of character we've seen Chris Pratt play a lot. Even the other characters only have like one trope that doesn't make them interesting at all, like Giancarlo Esposito is another villain that's supposed to be on the main character's trail. I mean, I do love Giancarlo Esposito as an actor, but seeing him play a villain over and over again is already getting old. And Stanley Tucci is supposed to be the main villain that wants this robot that Millie Bobby Brown is with for his evil schemes. No spoilers, of course, but really nothing else interesting about him either. And the humor, unfortunately, really falls flat. There really isn't much about the humor that made me laugh. I mean, Chris Pratt does have a couple of good laughs, but it's mostly because he's one of those actors that's delivering his own charm and humor to the script. It's not really the script itself that's making the humor work, because the actual humor the script is going with just comes off weak. And this movie can also take itself too seriously and come off being really ridiculous. Like, there's this one scene after an emotional moment that happens halfway in, where she gives an emotional speech to an animatronic Mr. Peanut. I'm dead serious. She's saying all of that to Mr. Peanut. Like, this movie literally has Mr. Peanut as a prominent character throughout the whole film, where he was the leader of the robots during the war, and he's supposed to be prominent for the rest of the story. You might as well have Chester Cheeto be prominent in the next one. And it tries giving that emotional punch and fun energy for the finale, but it just comes off very silly and goofy with the robots that they use, making the tone feel over the top and ridiculous, which is also another problem. The tone doesn't really mix well with the comedy and the humor. It just comes off over the top and ridiculous, making you think to yourself, what the heck am I watching? Now, there are some good things about this film. I'm not going to completely trash it and give it an F, because there are some redeeming qualities, like the CGI on the robots is really good. They all look well detailed and they move like robots like they're supposed to. Some of the actors do the best with what they can, and some of them are funny, and the voice actors for the robots are good, and unfortunately, that's it. So this is clearly one of those films where you just have to turn off your brain and just enjoy it, and if that doesn't bother you, then you're gonna have a fun time with this film. But if you've seen a lot of other films that are similar to this and you want more out of the Russo brothers, then you're unfortunately not gonna get a whole lot, because you had a very predictable and recycled story, bland characters with nothing interesting about them, humor that really falls flat, and the finale and a character they add in just really messes up the tone. And this is unfortunately another mediocre film from the Russo brothers, and even though I love their work in the MCU, after Cherry, the Gray Man, and this, I'm now concerned for Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. I'm gonna give the Electric State a C-. So guys, if you have seen the Electric State, what did you think about it? Do you think it's a great movie and thought I was being too harsh on it? Or do you think this film was garbage and it doesn't need to exist? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this video, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing, because it helps my channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you know what other videos I'm posting. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.